In this video, I tested three competing artificial intelligences, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, to find out which one builds the best Minecraft house. Let's get started right away with Claude. I asked it for help to build the foundation, and it told us to use either stone, cobblestone, or stone bricks set 1 to 2 blocks into the ground. So that's exactly what I did. Claude has also told us to use stripped spruce logs for the corners of the house, glass panes for the windows with some stairs underneath and above, and even some fence blocks thrown into the mix. But we'll get back to Claude in just a minute, because for now we are going to test each AI chatbot on their foundation. And Gemini has told us that our foundation should be L-shaped, made once again out of stone bricks, but this time also using dark oak logs. We'll also be using some calcite for the walls and some glass panes once again for the windows. Gemini's foundation is looking pretty good, so let's move right over into ChatGPT, which is the third of three AIs to tell us to use stone bricks for the foundation, which is exactly what we will do. But there's actually one thing that ChatGPT has told us to do, which none of the other AIs did, which is actually make the foundation a bit more interesting by using some cobblestone and andesite to spruce it up a little. Speaking of spruce, we'll be using some spruce logs for the corners and some stripped birch logs for the main walls of the house, which is going to make it look very nice. And we will also be using some cobblestone stairs under the windows. And for some reason, ChatGPT also wants us to build these little flower things out of leaves and moss blocks and trapdoors to give it a more natural appearance. We're also, of course, going to be using a birch door since birch seems to be the main wood theme of this house, and that actually makes it look pretty good. So if the AIs actually did kind of okay on the foundations, how will they deal with the roofs? Well, Claude has told us to use deep slate tile stairs for the roof of its house, and I think that does match quite well with the spruce. We'll also be using deep slate tile slabs for the top of the roof, and Claude has even told us to make a chimney, and I decided to add some cobwebs to make it look like smoke is coming out of the chimney. And I also used a few more blocks from the deep slate series to make the awnings a bit more textured. This area is going to be where the window is going to be, and once again with the window you can probably predict what block we're going to use. We are going to use glass panes. But let's move into Gemini now, and Gemini of course is going to be able to give us a pretty good roof, and it's actually going to tell us to use some more of the calcite and even some more stairs. It's going to have us use andesite stairs in multiple levels, and it is even going to have us use some andesite slabs as well for the upper layers of the roof. And once again, we are going to be adding a chimney. Now, Gemini has told us for this chimney to use a campfire and surround it with trapdoors, so I chose pale oak trapdoors because I think that makes it look the best. We are once again going to use glass panes for the windows, so let's move over now to ChatGPT, where we will be using quartz stairs and quartz slabs to construct the roof. And to cap off this amazing roof, we will of course be using some moss blocks and some chiseled quartz blocks. Now, these roofs, they all look pretty similar and they're all pretty good, but you know what? Let's go to the interiors now, because the interiors are where these AI chatbots are really going to show their differences. So the first thing that Claude has told us to do is to add some chains hanging from the ceiling, and this will allow us to put some lanterns down and provide some light to our room, and that looks pretty good. I do think the lanterns work out pretty well, and they're certainly a lot better than torches would be, but we will definitely make sure to have them high enough to provide light to the entire room. Now, for whatever reason, Cloud also wants us to use a smoker instead of a regular furnace. I guess that does make sense. We'll also be using a crafting table and a small pale moss block on a fence block because this is going to be our kitchen area. We'll also be using some barrels, and we'll even put some trapdoors underneath the barrels because these are going to be our kitchen cabinets. And now that these trapdoors have all been placed in, we can get back down to the lower level of the kitchen and go ahead and put in our sink and our slabs and our tripwire hook to serve as the faucet. Now we're also going to, of course, need a kitchen table, which I will make again out of birch stairs, and we'll also put down another table there out of a birch fence and a pale moss carpet. Now we're also going to have to add a little divider. For some reason, these AI chatbots don't really want us to make separate rooms. They just want us to divide them, say with bookshelves, for example. So I think the bookshelf divider works pretty well. We'll also use a fence block, and we will, of course, also put around some flower pots, as Claude suggested, with a whole bunch of different flowers in them. And we will also put down some vines to make this room even look a little bit more natural and a little bit more overgrown. Now we're also going to move on to the bedroom area, or in this case, just the bed area of the house, and we're going to add in some tables, as Claude suggested. Now we're going to make these tables out of spruce trap doors, and it didn't really give any instructions of how to make the tables, so I just kind of had to do it myself. But it ended up working out all right, and we were able to place down our lantern and place down another flower pot. Now, another thing that Claude wanted us to do was to add shutters to the windows. However, not all the windows in this area ended up being able to have them, but I did go ahead and put down some wooden trapdoors to serve as shutters on all of the windows that had space for them. So that actually ended up working out quite well. But of course, Claude wants us to do one final thing, which is to add in an armor stand. And this armor stand is going to have quite a lot of armor on it. It's actually just going to have chainmail armor on it, because why not? That's one of my favorite types of armor. But we're also going to potentially add down a little bit of carpet here too, because Claude also wants us to have a carpet for some reason, maybe a bit more variable floor. I don't know. I kind of like it without the carpet, but maybe we'll see. We'll see if Claude has some actual ability here with the carpet, but it didn't give me any instructions for putting down any carpets, so I just kind of had to wing it, and I'm not the best with carpets, so this carpet turned out really to not be too great. I just used some red and cyan carpet to create a little bit of contrast, and it ended up just working out fine. So that is Claude's interior. So let's move right over now into the next house, which is going to be Gemini. So how is Gemini going to do the interior of a Minecraft house? The first thing to do with Gemini is we're of course going to be adding in a small loft area over here because we do want a little bit more space, and we're going to make that out of wooden slabs, and we will add of course a ladder going up to it. Now this loft area is going to contain quite a few nice items for us. It is going to contain a trapdoor to access the ladder, and it is also going to be a place where we can go to have our bedroom later on. Now we're going to go back to the front of the door here because in the doorway, Gemini has told us to build a little area kind of here to simulate a mud room where there's mud coming in from people tracking it in through the door. So okay, that works out pretty well. It's also told us to lower the living room floor by 1 block, so I did go ahead and do that. And it has also told us to incorporate sea lanterns into the floor and to cover them up with carpet to make the lighting source hidden. Now we're also of course going to be adding in a little sofa or a couch here, and I think that ended up working out pretty well. We of course added our signs to the edges of the sofa and even a painting to simulate a television set. Now we're also going to add in a lot of leaves here. Gemini has wanted us to add in some leaves, so I did a couple of different type of leaves, and I even added in some of these, what are these called? These glowberries as well, and these just make the house look a little bit more natural. Maybe it gives it a little bit more of a modern look, and we have all these leaves hanging down and these glowberries hanging down, and these do add a bit more of a floral aspect of the house, so making it look a bit more natural and a bit more interesting rather than just blank white walls. Now the next thing that Gemini is going to have us add to this house, besides these leaves, of course, I don't know why there's so many. Like we don't have to add that many, but we can add in a grandfather clock, and we're going to add in, of course, we're going to make it out of a wooden birchwood block, a birch trapdoor, a bell, and an item frame with a clock in it, of course, so we can tell the time. We're also going to add in some barrels. Gemini really wants us to use barrels and not use regular chests at all. And we will add in, of course, a bed. We'll add in a double bed, and Gemini wants us to use some banners for pillows, and of course, some signs to the bed to serve as the headboard and the sideboard. So we're going to continue adding in all of our signs, and that will help us completely finish the bed up here, and that is actually going to help us with the Gemini's house. Now, Gemini also, of course, just like Claude, also wants us to do an armor stand, so I put in our armor stand here on the lower level where I think it ends up fitting in really well. So that is actually working out pretty well. We have all our barrels, we have our bed up here on the upper level, and we have our television and our sofa, and our armor stand and our grandfather clock on the lower level, and that actually works out quite well. So Gemini did an okay job with the interior, but how will ChatGPT do the interior of the Minecraft house? Well, let's find out. So let's go on in, and ChatGPT has also told us to build a sofa. In this case, it's going to have us use some trap doors for the sides of the sofa, and I think that does work out well. We're also going to add a little coffee table out of stone slabs, and we're going to put in some item frames. Now, ChatGPT wants us to do 2 items in the item frame. It wants us to do a pickaxe, and it wants us to do the map. Now, I think the map ended up working out better being on top of the leaf block because it just makes more sense, and the pickaxe works better against the birchwood wall. We're also going to add in some bookshelves here for dividing the room. All 3 of the AI chatbots seem to really want us to do this. We'll also once again add in some barrels for our kitchen cabinets, and we will add in a small little furnace there for our stove, and we will of course add in a sink, which ChatGPT wants us to use an upside down stair block for, and a tripwire hook for the faucet is my design, of course. And I will also decide here to add in some item frames. ChatGPT wanted us to add the item frames, but I felt, you know what, let's put some food in the item frames because I think that makes the most sense. And ChatGPT really does want us to do a loft. So just like Gemini, we are going to be doing a loft in this house, and it's going to be made in this case out of the birch wood and logs because I think that does make the most sense, and it does keep this look of this house pretty natural, and it does end up working out quite well. Now for this loft, we're going to be building the actual area you're walking on out of some birchwood slabs because I do think that does make the most sense, and that allows us to continue the birchwood theme of this house. And we'll put down our bed in the house, and the bed is going to be green because it's a greenhouse. I think that does end up working out pretty well. Now, ChatGPT wants us to put carpet under the bed, so that's clearly one mistake from AI. There's been a couple mistakes here. I don't know if you've noticed them, but the AI is not necessarily the best at this, and it doesn't understand Minecraft. It doesn't truly understand it, so it has no way to know that, yeah, putting carpet under a bed is not something you can do. But it is going to tell us to use some trapdoors next to the bed, and that is going to form the headboard. And we will, of course, also be placing down a desk here, and this little desk is going to be our bedroom desk, and it will even have a solar lantern on top because I think the blue light fits this house better than the yellow light fits the other houses. So let's go ahead and put in our armor stand now because just as with the other 2 AIs, ChatGPT thinks that we should be using an armor stand, and I used a turtle shell for it because why not? I think this is probably the best Minecraft house to put a turtle shell in. It's pretty natural. It does work out pretty well. And we're of course going to put down another little slab here on the lower level because ChatGPT wants us to add one more flower to the house. So that actually does work out pretty well here. So ChatGPT, I think the interior works out pretty well. It's very natural, very interesting. But now let's go ahead and go over each house's interior because it is time to actually compare all 3 of these 3 chatbots and see which of them actually made the best Minecraft house, which of them is the winner. So starting off with Claude over here, Claude did a pretty good job. Outside is probably the weakest of the 3 outsides. I don't really like it that much. It's kind of boring and plain, but you know what? It's okay. It's not the worst. And as for the inside, I like the inside a lot, but I don't like how there isn't a second floor. Claude didn't even really think about that very much or about how much you could do on the inside. So I feel like it's kind of underutilized. So I think Claude is probably actually the worst of the three houses. But you know what? Let's go into Gemini now. Gemini's house, I think the outside is really good, but I think it's kind of not really that great on the inside because it's kind of a bit too cramped. But that's mainly my fault, because I didn't build the house big enough. But you know, Claude probably, or sorry, Gemini should have probably given some more instructions on that and how to make it better. I do like some of the furniture ideas. I like the bed. I like the grandfather clock, and I do like having the plants and flowers in here and all that. But you know, it's not the biggest interior, not the best interior, and I do think there's room for improvement. I do like having the barrels instead of the chests, but I also like the chests too because I'm old school. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I do like the TV. I do like the TV and the sofa. That's probably one of the best parts of this. But you know what? Let's go ahead and look at ChatGPT's house now because it is finally going to be time to decide the winner. So the winner is going to be either ChatGPT or Gemini. As I said, Claude is definitely third place, definitely the worst of the three houses. But let's go ahead and find out which of these is actually the best. Is it ChatGPT or is it Gemini? Which one has built the better Minecraft house? I love ChatGPT's interior. I think the interior is really good. I think it's good how we have the little kitchen area here. I think it ended up working out pretty well. We also had a good area here in the living room with our sofa and our coffee table and our item frames with our special items in them. And we, of course, have our armor stand, and we have our bed and our headboard. I want us to put a carpet under the bed, so that was kind of dumb there, but I'll leave it one mistake, right? I'll let it have a mistake. And of course, we had our bedroom desk, and we had the rest of our interior there as well. But for ChatGPT, I do think the exterior was kind of okay. I mean, not the best, but kind of natural, kind of interesting. So I probably will go ahead and declare ChatGPT the winner of this, though, just because overall it's the best all-around house. I think the interior is really good. I think the exterior is okay. Realistically, I don't think any of these exteriors are that great. I was kind of upset that all three of the AIs had me use stone bricks for the exteriors, or sorry, stone bricks with foundations, because there have been so many more blocks added over the years, so maybe they should update the AIs. But with that in mind, I will say thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you did not enjoy it, leave a dislike, and be sure to subscribe for new Minecraft videos every so often. And please do click the video on screen if you would like to watch another Minecraft video.